about that. We're doing some big things over in the Bland house and in the Bland camp. And as she said, I'm always trying to help other people to go to the next level relative to business and their ideas and all of that. I'm all about living your dream. And so that's what I really focus on, is about helping other people to, first of all, realize that anything is possible. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve. And then we set out goals and really start mapping out a way to make that happen. And so I really want to give it back to Tammy. Thank you for that introduction. And I want to say thank you for you guys who've actually joined us on the call tonight. Really, at the last minute, we decided to go ahead and make this happen tonight. And so I sent out these messages to all of you guys, that everybody that's on the call, and I'm actually trying to make sure that I mute the beep as people come in on the line, because I don't want that to be a distraction. But I sent out the messages inviting people at the last minute, so I want to thank all of you guys who did decide to join us tonight. And I personally invited many of you, because I know you all personally, and I know that you all are leaders, the ones that I have personally invited. So I'm looking to work with leaders, and that's the reason why I contacted you guys. I know you and love you. And of course, there are people on this call who I don't know personally, but I know if you know someone that I know, that you're a winner. You're a leader. And so, again, I welcome you to the call, and I want you to be a mutual benefactor of the knowledge that I'm planning on sharing tonight as well. Before we get into the information, I just want to share a little bit about my story with you guys, for those of you who don't know. Again, my name is Theo Bland III. I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago, attended Hyde Park High School, went into the Marine Corps after high school because I wanted to have money to pay for college. And then, essentially, I always knew that I wanted to do radio. I knew that from being a child, but I didn't have the grades or the money to get a scholarship or pay for college after high school. So I had to come up with a creative way to get that done, and the Marine Corps for me was I won't say the best way to do it, but when I thought about joining the military as an option, I wanted to go with the best. So I joined the Marines. And upon getting out of the Marine Corps, I did go and start that career in broadcasting, but I also realized something very fast, that it was a revolving door, and there was no security in it. And then I found out after I got out of radio and started doing other things that there was just no job security on the planet. It doesn't matter what you're in. I'm the type of person that I needed to have something that I knew I could count on. And so working a job, I realized there was no way that I could work any harder than I was already working. My brother is on the line, I believe, and he can tell you for a fact that I was putting in 16-hour days many days. But I was still falling behind in my bills because a job was just never meant to make you get to where you wanted to go in life. I call having a job just on bills, because that's what my money was really going to, just on bills, and it wasn't even covering all of those. So I began to look for some things, and I really was open to seeing things that could change my financial situation. And lo and behold, I met a gentleman that was very impressive to me, because at the time I was 30 years old. This gentleman was only 3 years older than myself. And what was impressive about him was this guy was a multimillionaire at 33. And so I started to really pay attention to some of the things that he was trying to teach me, and what impressed me more was that he was humble, very down to earth, and very approachable. But what impressed me most was that he was willing to teach me what he knew. He was willing to work with me and coach me if I was open to it. And initially I was a little skeptical, because I grew up poor. I thought that all people were, if you were poor, you were born poor. If you were rich, you were born rich. And the rich just simply took advantage of the poor. But he blew that myth out of the water for me, because I couldn't afford to attend a conference that he was going to be at, and he was going to be training some other people. And if I committed to getting there, if I committed to attending, he actually paid my way to get there. And I realized then I had connected with someone who was genuinely interested in helping other people reach their goals. And I've committed my life to doing the exact same thing. And so today, I want to talk about the state of this economy and you. The state of this economy, as I have become a student of business as well as economics, I realized that we are really in a time where there's nothing certain about money, jobs, security, anything that we need to survive is very unstable at this point. We're living in a time right now where economists have coined this period of time as the Great Recession, starting in 2008. In 2009, it got worse. 2010, they say that it started to recover, but the reality is there was still a slow trickle down type of decline. And so we saw the corporate bailouts. We saw the stimulus bills that the government passed in an effort to try to shore up the economy. I'm here to tell you that none of those things have worked to the satisfaction of the people that even passed it. None of those things have turned this economy around the way they thought it would. I'm also here to tell you that the truth of the matter is they knew that it wouldn't work in the beginning when they decided to do it. And so what's the game here? The game is for the rich to use the things, the tools that they have in place to solidify the position. And the people who don't know and understand how this thing works fall victim to it. But we're going to change that because I've had the opportunity to get some insight on what the game is, and I'm sharing it with the people who are in my circle. All right, so that's the reality of where we are. Let's talk about the economic cycle and the business cycle. There are 4 phases to every economy and every business cycle. The first phase is called a boom, the economic boom. Now, this is the part where, it's self-explanatory. Business is booming. We've all heard that expression, and that simply means that everything is good to go. Everybody's working. Everybody's pretty much making good money. Everybody's been able to buy homes, cars, all the things that we want. Second phase of that cycle is the recession. Now, a recession is when that boom starts to kind of decline. And the way you know that you're in a recession is literally the prices go up, the people start buying less. That's the reason why the prices go down, because people can't afford to buy goods at the price they are. Businesses fail, unemployment spikes, and the standard of living drops. Now, what qualifies an economy to be in recession if you have 2 consecutive quarters of a decline in the GDP? The GDP is very simple. It's all the goods and services that we produce as a country, and we contribute to the country's wealth. Again, all the goods and services that we produce that contribute to the overall wealth of the country. That's your GDP. So when that declines for 2 consecutive quarters, which is 6 months, you're said to be in recession. Now, the next phase of that cycle is the depression. A severe recession is all a depression is. Generally, we're able to kind of stop a recession from turning into a depression because we usually have more legs to stand on, financially speaking, than what we have now that has contributed to the depression that we're truly in, and nobody wants to say it. They call it a D word and things like that, but nobody wants to admit it. Besides, the government has also done a lot of what I call skillful manipulation with numbers so that it doesn't look like there's been a steady decrease or decline in the GDP. They've made it to look like there have been a little, recovery here and there, but the reality is it's still going down. And so generally, 36-month time period in a recession is classified as a depression. Folks, 2008, we started this thing really officially. They say it started, but I know it started in 2007, but we'll go with the 2008 number. 2008 to now, we have definitely hit 36 months in recession. This, folks, is a depression. Now, the next stage in that process, the recovery. This is when the economy simply starts to stabilize and starts to grow again. Now, eventually, it leads to another boom, and, of course, the cycle starts all over again. Here's the one thing that I want you to take away from this conversation about the recovery, because you're going to start to hear even more about recovery, because we are, I believe, we're sort of turning the corner a little bit, but there are those who the experts are saying that they think it'll get a little worse, and I kind of agree with that. More jobs will be lost, but there will be a recovery. The thing about it, folks, is the recovery is not going to be what people think it is. People are thinking that jobs that were lost are going to return. And I'm here to tell you, after studying history, I realized that the economy will recover, but it won't recover the way we thought. There used to be jobs in this country, and I'm going to go through a couple of examples. How many of you guys remember, well, I don't think anybody on this call is old enough to remember, there used to be a time when you did not call directly. If I wanted to call someone, I didn't call them directly. I called the switchboard operator, and the switchboard operator would connect me to the person that I'm trying to call. That job was lost in a recessionary period, and then during the recovery, it was eliminated. So the reality, folks, is this. Jobs that are in existence as you go into a recession and a depressionary period, during the recovery, there's a lot of restructuring, re-engineering, rephasing, and all of that kind of stuff, just fancy words for fired. But a lot of times, those jobs are lost in that recovery process, never to be seen again. There used to be a job called the elevator operator. Someone used to actually sit on the elevator, and when people got on, you would tell that person what floor you wanted to go to, and they would take you there. There's no such thing as an elevator operator anymore. Also, a more recent example, I could tell you this, and there are many to choose from, but I want to deal with some that we could all relate to. In Chicago, we have a system of transportation. We call it the L. It's train. It's our L. And L stands for elevated train, but basically we call it the L. When I was growing up, it was a two-man operation per train. You had the engineer who literally drove the train, and then you had conductors who actually, all they had to do was open the doors and call out the stops. Well, that system has been automated now. All you have is one person who drives the train, and he also comes over and opens the doors. But I'm also here to tell you that there's a such thing called a tram. You see them in airports anytime you travel. And that technology is coming to mass transit, and so pretty soon, those who have those good jobs where they're driving the train or operating the train, pretty soon those jobs won't be around either. And that happens during this business cycle. So I want to focus really quickly on the depression and the recovery. The depression is a period where people who are smart enough began to look for the next boom. They start to look for what are those trends that when the recovery comes around, people are going to gravitate to. And they position themselves in such a way that they allow that trend to push them to billionaire status. And we're going to talk about some of those trends. This is how billionaires position themselves to just get flat out paid. And I've come to the conclusion, if I'm smart enough, I can see the trend and I can do the same thing they do and get the same results. Because one thing I've realized is that if you want to achieve anything in life, it's possible. If it's been done before, it's certainly possible. The only thing you got to do is find out what did they do to get there and do the same thing. It's just like baking a cake. If you want to bake a cake, you get Betty Crocker's box, you get all the ingredients that she tells you need, and you follow the recipe, and you get the same results that she got. And so it works the same way with me. It works the same way with business, economics. If you follow the system that has been put in place by someone who's already accomplished it, you can accomplish the same thing. I want to run through a couple of quick examples of what I'm talking about in terms of trends and how these trends have literally led to people becoming millionaires and even billionaires. Remember, the PC industry wasn't always in existence. At some point now in the 80s, we experienced a recession, a deep recession. In fact, it was a depression. It was under the Reagan administration. And this is where we start hearing this term Reaganomics with the trickle down. It was basically a trickle down effect where they felt like if they supported big business with tax cuts and things like that, then the benefits would trickle down to the employee. That really didn't work out too well, but in a sense, you can argue from a business owner perspective that it did. But now let's talk about the PC industry. There was a time when there was no PCs. I remember when I was in grammar school, a computer was mainly a mainframe tied to a bunch of systems. And the mainframe was so large that it would literally take up the entire, like the room that I'm in now, it's a pretty sizable room. It would take up this entire room. If you think about your living room, your dining room, the mainframe would take up all of that space. But some guys got together who were visionaries, and said, wait a minute, we can take this technology and package it in such a way that we can put one in every house. These were people like the late Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Bill Gates, Michael Dell. These gentlemen were visionaries enough to say, yeah, we can do that. And they did it, and the PC industry was born. And again, these are billion-dollar players today. Long distance. I remember a time when the only time you could make a long-distance call, the only company that you could use to make a long-distance call was AT&T. AT&T began to overcharge its consumers. The government stepped in and broke them up. Well, the technical term is deregulation, so they were deregulated. And the first two players in the game was MCI and Sprint. Now, Sprint, here's what you guys got to love this. Sprint was not in telecom. Most people don't know. Sprint originally is a railroad company. That's what Sprint is, only an acronym. It means Southern Pacific, I believe it was Southern Pacific Railroad International. We know it as Sprint. They were not in telecom, folks, but they saw the trend. They got in the game and allowed the trend to push them to billion-dollar status. The next industry was cellular. When I was a kid, we didn't have cell phone. If we needed to call somebody while we were out, we had to use a pay phone, or we just waited till we got home and used AT&T to call long distance. But see, somebody was visionary enough to come up with this idea of the mobile phone. Now, the first mobile phones, they were like an extra piece of luggage. You know, I remember seeing people with this black, they looked like a man purse or something, and it had the phone in it. And only people who could afford it were doctors, lawyers, judges, you know, big shots. The phone cost about $3,000. But we know that everything eventually drops in price as time goes on, and that's in these situations. And the market base expands. And so the people who were smart enough to see this trend put themselves in a position, and now you got companies like Verizon. You know, back in the day we had Prime Code, Cell One. These were companies that took advantage of that opportunity, and then they rolled the trend all the way to billion-dollar status. Again, Sprint was in on that and some others. Finally, I want to wrap it up with the Internet. I remember when I entered high school, we didn't know anything about the Internet. There was no such thing as Internet to us. Now, we all will go absolutely bananas if we can't log on. So I'm here to tell you, these things catch on and they become a part of our everyday lives. So the people who were visionary enough and smart enough to say this thing is going to catch on, people like Yahoo, Google, Amazon, eBay, these folks put themselves in a position to cash in on this thing, and again, billion-dollar players today. Now, quick question, and this is just something for you to consider in your own mind. How many of you wish you could have gotten a chance to get in on one of these wealth trends? Something to think about. How many of you have taken absolute advantage of these multi-billion-dollar industries? I'm sure everybody right now is thinking, I damn sure would have, because that's what I thought. But check this out. I believe that most people who say they would absolutely would not. Why do you say that? The reason is because their mindset won't allow them to see all the possibilities. This is why my job is so important, because I want to make people understand that anything you can think of is possible. So let's talk about mindset. Because I've realized, being in business myself, I'm always looking to help other people who say they want more out of life. And when I began to talk to them, I realized the challenge that we have in the less, I'll put it this way, in the economically challenged community, I want to say poor, but economically challenged community, is that our mindset has been so jacked up, if you will, excuse my vernacular. But the reality is, I've come up with 7 things that literally shape our mindsets and keep us in an economically challenged position. I won't say poor because I've come up with a new definition for poor. And that's a mindset as well. But the reality is, to me, being poor is simply passing over opportunities repeatedly. We just went through several wealth trends. Do you know that there were people who had an opportunity to get involved with that and they passed it over. And I know they're Dominique Wilkins, the NBA legend, had a chance to talk to him. He told me the reason why he keeps his mind open for business opportunities now is because he passed over something back in the day. His brother, Gerald Wilkins, came to him, needed a $5,000 investment for something about water. You know, we always want to know, well, what is it about? And Gerald told him it's about water. Dominique said, I don't want to invest in no water. I get water at home. Small mind thinking. And this is an NBA legend, folks. Plenty of money. He got $5,000. He could sneeze $5,000 out. But I don't want to invest in water. I can get water from home. Folks, the opportunity he passed up was called Vitamin Water. $1 billion company now. He says he's still sick over that. So it's the mindset. Now, 7 things that keep us in that poor or that economically challenged mindset. The first thing is miseducation. Miseducation, see, I don't know about y'all, but I grew up, my mama told me, baby, I want you to go to school, get good grades, and go get you a good job. Some of y'all are probably laughing with me because that's the same thing your mom probably told you. Here's the thing, folks, it didn't work for her. It didn't work for her mama or her dad, but that's all we know. So we pass that down. And we keep sending our kids to school, telling them to do well, and certainly they should do well in school. But I'm writing about this in my new book. I don't know if I told you guys. I'm actually working on a new book. I'm finishing up the manuscript right now. In the next 2 weeks, it should be going to the editor, and we'll be moving forward with it. But the name of my book is called The New Cheese. And I plan on doing more of these calls, and so I'll be talking about that in the ensuing weeks. But one of the things that I talk about is the role of education in the new economy, because we will recover, but it'll be a new economy, and you have to know how education fits in. There's no longer a such thing as getting rewarded with a great job because you got a degree. All right? So we were miseducated, and that's one thing that shaped our mindset. The next thing is misinformation. I told you guys, I grew up thinking that the poor was born that way and the rich were born that way, and they took advantage of the poor. Not because somebody taught me that, but that was my perception based on what I saw, my environment. Misinformation, and my mind was shaped around that. 3, past experiences. I'm not the only person who had dreams of grandeur and decided I wanted to take action and probably quit before I had success. So we internalize what we consider to be past failures when the reality is we're not necessarily failing. Sometimes we just quit before we get to the success. So that plays a role. Environment. There have been studies done to show you, again, this is number 4. I'm talking about the 7 things that shape our mindset that keep us poor or economically challenged. Number 4, environment. Studies have been done that show your income is the average of your 5 closest friends. So think about who your friends are. Think about what they do. Think about the lifestyle they live. Yours is somewhere wrapped up in all 5 of theirs. That's something to really think about. One of my mentors teaches me that you have to be careful who you listen to, because the reason why millionaires hang with millionaires is because they want someone who's on their level and someone who can pull them up. Here's the reality. When you buy into someone's opinion, you buy into their lifestyle. There's a difference between a mentor and an advisor. An advisor is going to tell you, I don't think you should do that. That's one of them scams. That's one of them. And they ain't got nothing themselves. They just asked you to borrow $20. Why listen to somebody who don't know what you're talking about? But that's what we do. Environment. Number 5, we get complacent. We get comfortable, so to speak. But the last time I checked, it was not comfortable to owe everybody money. If I owe money to Peter and Paul and John and all of these folks, I'm not comfortable. But we call that the comfort zone. We don't want to step out and do something that we've never done before to get something that we've never had before. We want things in most cases, but we're not willing to do what it takes because it takes us out of our comfort zone. I want to reprogram that mindset because it has to be uncomfortable to be chasing my rent from month to month, chasing my bills from month to month, and I want to get on the comfortable side of money where I got plenty. That's comfort. Number 6, fear. Everybody know the acronym for fear: fake evidence or false evidence appearing real. Most of the fears that we have are truly self-limiting doubts, stuff that we bring on ourselves. The reality is this: you're only born with 2 fears. That's the fear of falling and the fear of a loud sound. Everything else is learned. The good news is this: if you learn a thing, you can unlearn a thing. So you can learn to not be afraid of certain things. Number 7, what other people think. Now, I'm going to tell you, this one for me is a very strong one. I should say was a very strong one. And my brother can tell you, I've always been concerned about what other people think about me. The reality is now, I've always admired him because he seems to never care what people think about him. And that's a great thing, because you know how much bondage that is to be concerned about. If I make this move, they're going to think this. If I make that move, they're going to think that. But this is what holds a lot of people back. We let these things hold us back. So the issue is we have to break through the mindset, reprogram ourselves for success. That's the brilliant thing about our minds, is it can be programmed any way you want. So everything that you think and believe now has given you the lifestyle that you live now. So if you're not where you want to be, the good news is all you got to do is start reprogramming your mind, and you can program it for success to be where you want to be. I know that's a good deal. Now, we're wrapping this up. I didn't want to go past 30 minutes, but it's starting to get gooder and gooder and gooder to me. But check this out. What matters to you? These are just questions I want you to think about for yourself. What matters to you? Who? No, not even who. Why do you do what you do? Think about that. Why do you do what you do? If you're working a job, why? If you're working overtime, why? Why do you do what you do? Who do you love most in your life? These are things. If you're writing this stuff down, if you're taking notes, write these questions down, because these are things that I want you to think about this week. Who do you love most in your life? If you got kids, I know they're on that list. If you got a spouse, I know he or she is on that list. If your parents, you're blessed to still have your parents in your life and they're still with us, I know they're on this list. Who do you love most in your life? If you could do anything for them, what would it be? Now, those same people that you love most, if you could do anything for them, there's no limit, what would it be? Let's focus on you for a minute. If you could be, do, and have anything in life, what would it be? If you could be, do, and have anything in life, no limits, what would it be? I'm here to tell you, no matter what your response is to any of these questions, I want you to take these 2 words with you. It's possible. I don't care how big it is, it's possible. And as soon as we understand the reality that no matter what it is that we want for ourselves and for the people that we love, it's possible. How do you make it happen, though? All you need is a vehicle. Everybody needs a way or a means by which they can accomplish everything they want to accomplish. Folks, I put a group together. I was speaking with my brother earlier. I was telling him about it. I put a group together, and I'm starting a company. We're putting a charter together this week to incorporate. And this is going to be the basis of my new company. Many of you already know I have a voiceover company that I own and a production company that I own and operate. And I do commercials for radio and TV all across this country. But my new company is going to be based on helping other people, period. Changing the mindsets of my people. And anybody who's willing to do what it takes to become a better person. The name of my company is No Limits Marketing. No limits. Because that's the mantra that I'm adopting for the rest of my life. Until I take my last breath, my mindset is going to be, there are no limits to what I can do. For years, people told me what I couldn't do, told me it wouldn't make sense to do this and that and the other, but they didn't understand. You don't see what I see. No limits. And I've already organized a small group of people that we're working together to take the limits off of our lives. We're working on setting goals, individual goals, group goals, family goals. We're writing it down, putting it in writing, putting a date to it. I'm here to tell you, if you have a goal but you don't have a date on it, you don't have a goal. You got a wish. And a wish will never come true. You have to make it come true. And so no limits, it's all about us putting our minds together. In fact, Benjamin Franklin, I've studied Benjamin Franklin. And one of the things that he did was he organized a group of people. That's where I got the idea from. He organized a group of people. He called it his mastermind group. And they got together and they discussed issues, possible solutions. And they figured, here's the idea behind it, or the logic behind it, is that if they could create things that would solve problems in society, and they help enough other people get what they want, by default, they would get everything that they want. And it worked. And so the principle is if you help enough other people get everything that they want, by default, you get everything that you want. It only makes sense. It's a win-win situation. So at this point, I want to open up the doors, basically. I don't want to sound too churchy, but open up the doors for anybody who wants to be a part of a group that will support you, have your back, encourage you, and also help to pull the best out of you, to help you accomplish everything that you're trying to accomplish. I'm going to come out of lecture mode for a minute because I believe I have all the lines muted. And what I want to do is get some feedback from you guys really quick. And all right, cool. This is what we're going to do. First of all, I want to know if this helped anybody tonight. If you guys got anything out of this, and if you have any questions, first of all. So if anybody has any questions, I want you to hit *6 on your phone. I think everybody just unmuted themselves. All right. If you have questions, *6 on your phone, and I'm going to go down the list. I'll start with, we got people on the West Coast. We got people in the Midwest. All right, let's start with 219. There's only one person on the line with the 219 area code. So that's my little brother. Chris, you got a question?
No, I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, I told you I keep an open mind.
Okay.
It was definitely interesting. It's something that I'll look into.
Okay, great. Absolutely. And I'm going to pass off some information before we finish this call, before we conclude. Thanks for your compliments, bro. I'm going to put you back on mute.
All right.
All right, let's go to the 817. 817, there is one person with that area code. Do you have a question?
I don't have a question, but thoroughly enjoyed the lecture, and a lot of things you said are in line with classes and courses and other lectures that I've been partaking in for about the last 3 or 4 months. So it's good stuff.
Awesome. One thing that I shared, and I know that's my brother Johnny Lee, one of the most outstanding Marines that I've ever met in my life. And those of you who know me know that I absolutely detested my time in the Marine Corps, but this is one of the blessings from that time. I had a chance to meet this brother. He's an outstanding Marine, an outstanding man. Jacob, I'm going to put you back on you.
All right.
All right. Let's see. I got 312. Let's see. There's only one other person with 312. I know that's Chicago. You have a question, 312-554?
554. That sounds like me.
That's you, bro.
I mean, really, actually, I don't have any questions, man. I'm this Nick, man. If you don't know me by now, you should know I'm all about empowering of our people, man, and I'm all about helping others. So I'm definitely want to be part of anything that helps to uplift people. That's me, and that's what I live for. So
awesome. Thank you for joining us, bro. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to put you back on mute as well. I see 612. I think this is another one of my brothers from another mother. Is this Scott?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Hey, man, I think I'm better than I was, man, before I took that medicine, man, after listening to you, man. I kind of caught the call a little late. I want to give a shout-out to to Jay Prince, too, man, if he's listening. But, hey, man, that was that right there. That was sexy, man. Whatever it is that you need me to do, man, I'm in the trenches with you. So I don't have any questions. Just want to let you know, man, I don't care what it is, man. You know, I know it's legal, so I ain't even got to go into that spiel. I'm with you.
All right. People are still joining us on the call. I just went down the list of people that I saw who were unmuted, so I didn't know if you guys unmuted yourselves or if in fact, you probably joined the call after I had muted all calls or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, and people are still coming in on this call. Man, I thank you guys for taking some time out of your schedule to just be with me tonight. And again, this is something that I'm going to be doing moving forward, probably on a weekly basis. And as this group grows, I'm going to do it even more often. But really quick, I said that I would give out some information. Here's the deal, folks. If you want more information from what I'm talking about, and also the vehicle that my group is using, because again, at the end of the day, in order to make all of your dreams come true, you have to have a vehicle in place. And right now we are on the precipice of another wealth trend that me and my partners have taken full advantage of, and you guys can do the same thing. For more information about that, log on to my website. It's www.theoblandonline.info. Again, www.theoblandonline.info. Now, if you go to that page, excuse me, the first thing you're going to see is a video presentation. It's about a 1-minute presentation, not even a presentation, just a clip of a presentation from one of my mentors. His name is Brian Tracy. This brother here is awesome. He's phenomenal, and he's just giving you an idea of what it is that I'm talking about. When you sign in to the website, you will be able to see a video presentation that I did. And what I'll be doing is following up with people throughout the week to find out what you liked about what you saw. Beyond that, hey, who's this?
This is Johnny.
Oh, you still on? Okay, you came out of mute. Did you have another question? Did you have a question?
Well, you know what I'm saying? You brought up Brian Tracy, and I thought I was one of the few that actually watched the Brian Tracy lectures, because I have about 4 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, as an outstanding mind for business. And, you know, he's
absolutely
very down to earth, man. Like, just real good dude.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why I follow him and the reason why I pay close attention to everything that he's saying. So you know the level that we're playing on at this point. You know what we're about at this point by watching that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You said I had to unmute myself.
I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to put you back on mute one more time.
All right, bro.
All right, and so just wrapping up. Now, here's another quick thing I want you guys to think about, and you don't have to say it to me, but just how many of you have somebody that you know, you have someone in mind that you know they should have heard what you just heard tonight, or they could have benefited from what you heard tonight? If you got people in mind, I'm here to tell you, this call was recorded. So you can give them this phone number to play the call back at any point, any time. You can even go back and listen to this at any time. The phone number is area code 507-762-4223. One more time, area code 507-726. I hope I said that right the first time. 726-4223. One more time, because I'm blowing it. 507-726-4223. That's the replay number if you guys know anybody who you feel like needs to hear this or should hear this, or if you want to listen to it again, call that. Especially if you came in late, you can hear the entire call there. So look, man, I want to just thank all of you guys for taking some time out of your schedule to join me. It's been a pleasure to serve you. This call is officially over. I'm Theo Bland III, and it's been a pleasure to serve you. I'll talk to you guys later.